Red October has come and gone, but with Team Toyota's home field advantage, you'll score even more savings this offseason. Choose from our winning lineup of new Toyotas, like Corollas, Camrys, RAV4s, and Highlanders, all in stock for immediate delivery. Or ship over 200 certified used Toyotas with MVP pricing to deliver quality and value. And when it comes to service and collision repair, our team gets you back in the game fast. So visit us in Langhorne, Princeton, or Glen Mills, or take a swing online at teamtoyota.net. Welcome in. You were listening and or watching the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. I am McKercher, joined by Bob Cooney once again down here at the winter meetings in Orlando. And Bob, the weather was a little nicer today. It was still cloudy. But we're waiting for the sun.
Yeah. Sorry, Philadelphia, but it was sunny and cloudy. I mean, it was 70 and cloudy today.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We're in this gigantic room. And
yes.
I get it. You have to keep it cool. But like when you start losing feelings in your hands after being in here after 30 minutes, it's been insane. But we're making
bad.
by.
Yeah, we're trying. So I make us feel like we're at home because it is utterly freezing.
Frigid.
In here.
Frigid.
Yeah. But we'll make do. Don't worry, Philly. We'll be okay.
Exactly. We're making do right now as we're still awaiting some news from the Philadelphia Phillies and or around baseball. Really only 2 signings today around baseball. But other than that, at least we got to talk to Dave Dombrowski, Rob Thompson. And it was a great time. We got to film it, which was great. First time we got an opportunity to film it.
Hell of a job,
Thank
I will
you.
say.
Whew, I couldn't feel my arms after a while. That camera is a lot heavier than expected, but some interesting comments from Dave today and even from Rob Thompson. Give me your first takeaway, and then we'll dive into some other comments. But give me your first big takeaway of maybe something Dave said or something Topper said.
Yeah, the way I led my story that you can read on NBC Sports Philly.
That's a great plug.
Yes, I thought it was the running back comment. Like Dombrowski brought it up. He said, "Yeah, you know, we're." I hate that phrase. I don't like the phrase "running it back." But he's got to be honest. If you're bringing back Schwarber and Real Muto, which are your 2 top priorities, you're running it back.
Bingo. You hear that, Philadelphia, though? Did you hear that?
And he said, like, we won 96 games. This is him speaking. We won 96 games last year. Maybe it's okay to bring a lot of that back. So, obviously, that's their top 2 priorities. The running it back stuff was interesting. This outfield thing just has me perplexed. Yeah. And, now you talk to different people and people are saying like, well, should they bring back Schwarber? Shouldn't they address maybe the outfield problem first? Because you're talking a name of 4 of just 4 not heavy hitters and Brandon Marsh and Otto Kemp they keep bringing up who they seem to love. They brought up Johan Rojas, which we all know probably isn't going to happen, and then Justin Crawford, who's very much a singles hitter. Mm-hmm. So we asked about the power, and they said, well, we like doubles hitting teams. So I don't know where they're going with the outfield.
I thought that was really interesting. It was the last question you asked it, and it was basically, hey, if you do lose Schwarber, where are you going to find this power from? And you would like to say Bryce Harper, but as Dave Dombrowski even alluded to a few times, maybe Bryce is on that decline. But it's a true fact. If you lose Schwarber, I don't know where you're going to get this power from. And Rob Thompson, Dave Dombrowski kind of alluded to or went to Rob Thompson then and said, Rob, like, do you agree? And he was like, yeah, like, we're not really worried about home runs. I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically that shocking, right?
Yeah. And they were saying, like, we don't want to ask our guys to hit home runs. That wasn't my question. My question was, you literally have no pop. I mean, they talked about Alec Bowman. He's going to be a better hitter okay. Doubles hitter. Yeah, doubles are great. But you need some kind of pop because then you talk about, protection in the lineup and who you can put where. And, I just don't see. I see a bunch of guys that may be able to hit 20 to 25 home runs, but that's probably it. I don't know. Major League Baseball, as far as I can see and looking at teams that win, you have a couple of poppers on the team. I mean, look no further than the Seattle Mariners with a couple guys over 50. Like you need it, and they don't have it.
They don't have it. And hopefully, whether that's Schwarber and another bat, or if Schwarber does exit, and that's somebody that you go pick up, maybe like a Cody Bellinger, maybe it's Alec Bregman, even though those 2 guys don't really have the pop that we're looking for, but it's still a little something better than nothing.
Yeah.
some other news then too. Dave Dombrowski kind of dismissed the question of have they dipped their toe into the Japanese market.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not going to answer that right now. We'll find out later. But he did say that they have a very strong point on that market.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me.
Well, it's a necessity, right?
Right.
I mean, it would be ludicrous if they didn't have their toes, if they hadn't made phone calls, if they haven't at least said hello. We're in Major League Baseball also, something. So I'm sure those boxes have been tapped. I don't know if they've been kicked, but well, you have to. Yeah. I mean, you have to keep up with the Joneses, and that's exactly what the Phillies must do.
And if you go get Morikama or Okamoto, two guys that are third baseman, Okamoto can move to first base as well. Obviously that would maybe spell the end of Alec Bohm, and we'll talk to Scott Lauber here shortly and get his opinion on a possible trade and Alec Bohm's name being thrown out there. But if you do get one of those guys, and then you have Tatsuya Imai as well, the pitcher who really said, hey, I don't want to join the Dodgers. I want to beat
the Dodgers. I love that.
And that confidence then, Ken Rosenthal tweeted out that confidence could lead to him pitching for two New York teams, or the two New York teams, or the Philadelphia Phillies. He came right across and said that. So we'll see. But I thought those were interesting comments as well. The other interesting comment too, first, actually, let's go positive note. Zach Wheeler update. Which is great. He's been throwing, according to Dave Dombrowski, just threw some catch in Philadelphia with Paul Buchheit, the head trainer. But just good news. And we saw Zach Wheeler at the Sixers game last night as well, which was great. Yeah.
He's going to do some weightlifting because obviously some of the muscles probably have a little atrophy going on around there. So get himself loose. It seems like everything's on target. And he even mentioned one of his lines, and I had to re-listen to it again. He said the doctors are okay with him moving forward. So it's not like, all right, just try this and let's stay there until. No, they have a plan, and the doctors have commented that plan is good, and he's okay to be moving forward. So yeah, as far as pitching goes, they're happy. They think they're happy with their starting pitching. We talked about the relievers today, and he said, yeah, we have 4 relievers that we're really happy with. Or no, 5. So Duran, and then 4 getting to Duran with the 3 lefties and Kerkering. But they still want to get some more relievers in there. Now, those are sprinkle in guys. If you're getting the most out of Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado, and Tanner Banks again. So we'll see how that plays out. But that excites me least as far as how this team needs to, I don't want to say reconstruct, but build moving forward.
Right. And because that hasn't been the problem.
Right.
The starting pitching, even the relief pitching, has not been the problem for this team over the last 3 seasons, especially in the playoffs.
Right.
It's the lineup.
It is. Absolutely.
There's names out there, and it's kind of funny. We've been sitting around here, and some of the new guys around here. This is my 3rd winter meetings, and it's a lot of sitting around. A lot of just kind of like waiting things out, trying to think of content to do, but also just waiting for news to break. And I think everyone here is feeling that exact same thing. We're just waiting for that iceberg.
Yeah.
And once that iceberg hits, hopefully it kind of releases the flood, but we're still waiting for now. Real quick too, another topic that was brought up was really Gabriel Rincones too, a guy that they really, really enjoy, the outfielder.
Yeah.
However, they did suggest that, he could be in a platoon with Brandon Marsh per se, but Dave Dombrowski went out of his way to allude to the point of that he doesn't really hit right-handed pitching so well. That's a concern for you. It is for me.
Yeah. I mean, so my first thought was, how much opportunity have they given him? We're talking about Marsh, right?
Yeah.
How much opportunity have they given him? I know you can get in your mind like, all right, he can't. And it goes right to Bryson Stott in my head. Like, give him a chance. Like, I would make Bryson Stott. I'm sorry. I love Perez. I would be staunch on this. I would give him every opportunity to prove yourself against left-handed hitters, because when you look at the splits, you're talking about 500 at bats against right-handed hitters and 110 against lefties. Like, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Give Marsh a chance, and see how it plays out. But are you past that? And if I'm giving Marsh that chance to be kind of an everyday outfielder, well, I sure as hell, and no offense, I sure as hell don't want a Crawford and a Otto. Like, I need more. Like, especially if I'm given a tryout. I need more from the other outfielders as far as hitting goes. But they're very high on Otto Kemp, which we all look at each other and
okay. I am too. Don't get me wrong.
I love Otto Kemp. I love him, but
is it going to be the key piece that's going to get this team over the hump? Not necessarily, in my opinion. But I am high on Otto, and we've seen the way he finished out the season.
Sure.
Found a little pop, too. Finished with 4 home runs in the final month of the season. But I just don't know if you can turn
if that's
to him.
your third outfield thing,
right?
And you're saying, all right, well, really good left fielder. Let's do it this way: left fielder or right fielder, and those two or center fielder and right fielder, and those two are going to platoon in left. But we have our everydays in the other one who are good hitters, whatever. Then I'm okay with it. But
okay.
I'm not really okay with it right now.
Yeah.
No.
And I thought it was interesting. We'll get to Scott Lauber's interview here shortly, but we brought up the point too where Justin Crawford, he specifically said he's not a right fielder because he doesn't really have that right field arm, which I think in his scouting report, his arm isn't his strength. It's his speed and his ability to make catches that aren't probable.
It screams center to left field.
Bingo. So we will see most likely if Justin Crawford is in the big leagues in 2026 to start the season in left and or in center. Also, great Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter. Andrew Painter, not that much of a surprise, but Dave Dombrowski did tell us today that Aiden Miller will be in big league camp in spring.
Right.
Surprising or no?
No, I guess not. And he said we're going to play him at third and short and second and see where he plays best. That's his exact words. No, not surprising. I don't think he's going to be on the big league club, but bring him in, take a look and see where he is. And that lends to, okay, does it mean you don't know where a Stott, where an Alec Bohm are? I mean, first and short are set, obviously. Is this a tryout? Is this okay, we can move on from Alec Bohm, a Bryson Stott, look to make them a trade? And there's a lot out there. I mean, this is, you don't get a Schwarber or a Real Muto. Now your whole process changes. And one of the things that Dave Dombrowski said is they're ready for everything.
Bingo.
That's what he said. They're ready for everything.
Which does not surprise me.
No.
I feel like Dave is very much a planner like that. And he has his whiteboard. He said he has his notepad back in the back there where he is ready for anything. And I thought that was interesting too. A name that we didn't even hit on yet is JT Realmuto. Dave Dombrowski's comments about JT and really about everything was that if they don't get JT, Rafael Marchand or Garrett Stubbs, you're currently 2 catching options.
Yeah.
Not going to get it done.
No.
As much as I love both players, you can't have one of those guys be your starting catcher in 2026. However, Dave did say he thoroughly assessed every position, including catching.
Right.
And thoroughly assessed every position that is needed. Yeah. And he has backup options and players that he likes to see. I thought that was interesting because is that alluding to other players like Alec Bohm, like a Brandon Marsh that, hey, these guys haven't come up in big time spots.
Yeah.
Maybe we're thoroughly looking into replacing them.
Yeah, well, it should. And it's really hit me over the last, week or so when you really dive into where they may go or whatever. JT Realmuto is going to be 35 years old when the season starts. 35, crouching down for 120 games. And that's just this year.
Right.
If you re-sign him, you're re-signing him for probably 3 or 4 years. Yeah. I mean, there ain't many 37-year-old guys crouching behind home plate. Bingo. So
I got
weird.
A little quiz for you. Me and Sean have talked about this. Do you know there's been 2 catchers that have both signed a 3-year deal or longer going into their age 35 season? One is a former Philly.
One's a former St. Louis Cardinal.
You got them both.
Yeah. One's a former Philly.
The catcher of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Taron Dalton?
Nope. Sorry, the other one.
Oh.
World Series champion.
Oh, Ruiz. Wow. Yeah. How about that?
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
So JT Realmuto would join those 2.
Wow.
As the only to sign a 3-year deal.
And real quick, the Cardinal guy who I can see playing his stage, his name is slipping my mind.
Yadier Molina.
Molina, yeah. Yep. Love Yadier Molina.
Always.
How about that?
Crazy, right?
And that's scary. It's just scary. So as quick as you say, they got to re-sign Realmuto and Schwarber. As great a shape as Realmuto's in, and we see him, like I've said before, he lifts weights after every game and takes such good care of himself. That's daunting to have it. You're just thinking this year, 35, 36, 37, catching 120, 30 games. That's tough.
We're going to need some help. All right, yeah. So now we are going to include Dave Dombrowski's one-on-one interview with you. Great interview, about 3 minutes long. Dave hits on JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, Ranger Suarez, a name that we haven't got to in the podcast yet. And then also talks about how he mentioned before we got started, hey, if I get up and leave, I have to go take a phone call.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't
leave.
Over 25 minutes of conversation. And 2, You asked him about that, and he said, well, I have it on vibrate. Who knows? And your response was?
I said, well, wouldn't that make you kind of get up and go too and take a look?
Yeah.
And he said, well, it might be somebody I don't want to call back.
Bingo.
But I didn't see him look at the vibrator all that much.
I did not either.
That didn't come out right. But
the phone. Correct.
So, so we were there. We were with them for a good 45 minutes probably.
It was a long time.
Nothing really happened. Preston Mattingly did get up and leave at one point, but they said he had to go do a radio interview.
More important than us.
So it wasn't, which is fine. But I mean, he wasn't answering a phone call.
Bingo.
So we'll see. I mean, obviously for our job, we hope something happens this week. And for you people watching and listening and reading, we hope we have something that we can give you. But we'll just see. We'll see what happens.
So coming up, David Dombrowski one-on-one with Bob Cooney. Then we'll hit an ad break. Right after the ad break, we sit down with the Philadelphia Inquirer's Scott Lauber to discuss what's going to happen over the next 3 days.
Bob Cooney here with Phillies President of Baseball Operations, Dave Dombrowski. We thank you for joining us here at the Major League Baseball winter meetings. And Dave, how busy have you been over the last couple of days?
Well, it's been extremely busy. It's one of those where at this time of year you come in here. Of course, we've got a lot to do, too, a lot of uncertainty with our ball club with all the free agency. But since the moment we arrived last night, till basically before we had our meeting here, we've been on the phone with clubs talking to free agents. And it's that time of year, and we've been just as busy as ever.
So a lot of people have been saying that once something happens with Kyle Schwarber, dominoes may fall. Do you feel that something with Kyle Schwarber, whether it's you or another team, will be done before this week is over?
I really, that's one. It's a hard one to really put a finger on because it's one of those where they dictate that more than you. We would love to be in a position where, of course, we signed him quickly, but I don't know what position they're in at this point. I don't think they want to necessarily drag it out a long time. But I'm also not sure if that's something that would be done this week or not.
And the second biggest thing is JT Realmuto, a leader like Kyle Schwarber, a leader of the clubhouse. Where does that stand for you right now, would you say, if you can, with JT Realmuto?
Well, I think what a generality of me is that we continue to have interest in both of those players and bringing them back. That's probably the best way to say it and describe it, and we've been consistent in that. Of course, you can be in a position where you can't continue to go forever because you have to start putting your club together. But this is a week that really starts for those things to happen. So between this week and the next week coming out of the winter meetings, I would anticipate a lot of things taking place for players making decisions on where they want to play and even from possible trade perspectives with teams. So you don't put a time frame on them, but I think there's just a natural progression of the wintertime that moves start to be made.
So people wonder if those two don't come back or one of the two don't come back. The question is, how prepared are you guys to move forward, maybe without one or both of them?
Well, you need to be totally prepared. So we are in that position. We spend meetings talking about those at the end of the year. We have our scouts in town for our organizational meetings to discuss player priorities and rank players and talk about different organizations. So you're ready to really pivot at any particular time. You're hopeful to not do that, but you have to be prepared. That's part of the responsibilities. And whenever you get to that point, we're ready to move forward if we need to.
And Ranger Suarez, of course, another free agent. Should one of the first two not come back to you and you save some money there, is Ranger a viable option?
Well, we love Ranger.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we love him. We're a little bit deeper in starting pitching than other spots, but we'd love to have Ranger Suarez back with us. And I'm not even sure how all our finances will fall together when you start talking about all the people that we have, but Ranger's been fantastic for us throughout the years, too. He's sort of unsung. We have a lot of conversations about Kyle, people asking JT, but Ranger's been very important for us, and he's a pitcher that we'd love to have back with us.
And last thing, not concerning the meeting so much, but can you give us an update on Zach Wheeler and how things are with him?
Zach's done very well so far at his rehab. He's been cleared from his doctor to start moving forward. He continues to have rehab 3 days a week with our head of our training system, Paul Buchheit, back down in Philadelphia. He's strengthening his arm. He started to play catch last week, so we've been making good progress, and so far so good.
So we've spent about a half an hour here with you. Your phone hasn't rang since we've been here. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, you don't know that it didn't ring. It's on vibrate in my pocket. So
I assume you would have gotten up and left.
Well, it depends what call it is.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll see.
I got you. All right, from the winter meetings, Bob Cooney here with Dave Dombrowski, Philadelphia Phillies. We'll see what happens this week.
Sean Kane, the holidays are right around the corner. Do you need some holiday gift inspiration?
Who doesn't? Absolutely.
Well, escape the cold and catch the Phillies in Clearwater with NBC Sports Philadelphia and Philly Sports Trips. We're teaming up to bring fans the most unforgettable Philly spring training experience yet. This trip includes Phillies game tickets, beachfront accommodations, round-trip travel, all-inclusive tailgates, and much more. Plus, appearances from Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, and NBC Sports Philadelphia's own Ben Davis.
Wow.
Can you imagine Benny down there with the fellas?
That's a party. Charlie, Larry, and Ben down there. I mean, sign me up. It looks like an awesome trip.
You and I will be down there. Book your trip today at phillysportstrips.com. Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. We are honored to be joined by Philadelphia Inquirer's Scott Lauber. And Scott, as me and Bob discussed earlier today, too, obviously we finally get to hear from Dave Dombrowski, Rob Thompson, and Preston Mattingly today. What was your main takeaway from the availability that they gave us in the Philadelphia writers?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded a lot like a month ago in Vegas at the GM meetings where Dave Dombrowski, they've clearly given Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto their space to go out and find their best offers. And I think what we're seeing now is we're getting to the point where they need some answers. They need some clarity. And I think we heard that from Dave Dombrowski today. I think if he had his druthers, he'd probably want to move forward right now with Schwarber or JT. And I think they're getting to the point where, hey, look, we need to hear from you. We need to know what you have out there, and we need to know what number we have to beat, because clearly they want to retain them both. But if they can't, they're going to have to pivot pretty quickly.
Is there any chance that they would move on before getting an answer?
I don't think so. I haven't gotten that sense, but it's a fair question because we're into almost the middle of December, and they haven't made a move yet. In part because, like Dave Dombrowski said, like in all their conversations with teams and free agents, they've said, well, we can't be 100% sure because we have a lot of free agents who we'd like to retain. So we have to almost talk in sort of like if this, maybe that. And I think that they would like a little more certainty. I don't think that they'll move on, but I do think that they're going to want to know, and they're going to want to know soon.
And it's interesting, Scott, because they've been kind of sitting on their hands for right now, and understandably so. They're kind of waiting for that first domino to fall. But if it's not Kyle Schwarber, and if it's not JT Realmuto, who's one free agent that you would like to see that would help this ball club?
So crazy as it sounds, I think Kyle Schwarber is probably easier to replace just because you could pivot to, let's say, Pete Alonso, right, who is a sort of a mirror image power hitter. Their numbers are very similar over the last 4 years. Alonso's actually younger, 2 years younger. I think he turned 31 yesterday. And plays a position, although not well, but he could play first base, and you could have a sort of an Alonso, Bryce Harper, DH first base combo there. They could sort of take, however many games on and vice versa. You could pivot that way. You could pivot to someone like Cody Bellinger and help your outfield. You could pivot to Kyle Tucker, who's going to cost you a ton of money, but, is someone else who could help anchor your outfield. I don't know where you go if you don't bring back JT Realmuto, really, just because it's hard to find good catching. And I asked Dave Dombrowski that question today. Like, this is not a position that they have had to really look hard at over the last several years because, JT Realmuto is going to play 120 or 130 games. Now they're sort of got to roll up their sleeves and say, okay, what contingencies can we find in the catching market? I think it would have to come through a trade, I think. And I don't know, Harry Ford, we talked about with the Mariners, came off the board last weekend. I don't know if that was someone that they looked into, but again, like, where do you go if you don't bring back JT?
You brought up the outfit a little bit, Cody Bellinger. I find it fascinating, and I kind of asked today about power. If you lose Schwarber and you don't replace him with Pete Alonso, where does this team have any power? And they kind of just blew it off today, like it's not important. I mean, how does that stand with you, Scott?
Yeah, I thought it was funny, Bob. I think you asked about right-handed hitting outfielders and how there's just not a whole lot out there. And have you ever seen a landscape where there's just been such a wasteland of right-handed hitting outfielders? And Dave Dombrowski said, yeah, last year. I mean, it feels like they've been looking for right-handed hitting outfield help forever, or outfield help in general forever. And there just is not a whole lot out there, not a whole lot to be had. So, again, it puts them, the free agent we haven't talked about is Harrison Bader. Mm-hmm. And, you ask yourself, well, would you go 3 years on Harrison Bader just because he's a right-handed hitting outfielder who could maybe help stabilize some things? I think we all think that they probably got the best of Harrison Bader for 2 months. And I don't know if you want to buy high. You never really want to buy high, but there just aren't very many options out there, and he's not exactly going to be a 30 homer guy either. So I think you're talking more about the Bellingers and the Kyle Tuckers, and is that a better fit for this club than, let's say, even bringing back Kyle Schwarber? I think it's got to be discussed. I don't think they feel that way because they still want Schwarber; he's their priority. But the outfield is a problem and has been for a few years.
And you mentioned the free agent market. Now switch up to the trade market real quick. We've heard Alec Bohm. We've heard Nick Castellanos. We've heard Brandon Marsh, maybe even Matt Strahm. Now, if there's a name out there on the team currently that you believe that could be moved this offseason, what is that name?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the big ones. I think Alec Bohm is probably the biggest one just because they've talked about it for so long. And I think last year maybe they overvalued him a little bit in the trade market. I heard from a lot of teams, what they were asking for was maybe, in their view, it was too much, or maybe that, their view of Alec Bohm was different from the rest of the industry. So it's, whatever they thought he was worth, it's worth less now because he's a year closer to free agency. You're not going to get a ton, but maybe you get a piece that helps you in another area and you free up some of the $10 million or so that he's going to make this year, and you can apply that to something else. So, I do think that if they're going to make a trade, it's probably going to come off the major league roster because within the last 12 months, they've traded, Eduardo Tait, Starlin Caba, and Mick Abel. That took a chunk out of their farm system. We know they don't want to move Andrew Painter. We know they don't want to move Justin Crawford or Aiden Miller. So, you're really left a little bit short there. I do think that there maybe is a move to be made, like you take a lefty reliever and you acquire something else, or you take an Alec Bohm and you acquire a reliever or something like that, and then you backfill somewhere else. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and if they do it, because the other thing Dombrowski said today, which I thought was really interesting, was, and he has said this before, but never quite this directly, I'm not sure you want to take, and I'm paraphrasing, a 96-win team and make a ton of changes. Mm. And I've heard that a lot from outside Philadelphia. The national perspective is, why would you want to break this up or, not run this back, so to speak? This is a really good team. And locally, we're like, you got to change the mix. You got to change the mix. Well, around the league, they're like, that's a pretty good team that won 95 games in 96. And maybe you want to keep that team together.
And that's what I thought was crazy about this talk about getting rid of Rob Thompson. And I just didn't understand it because, growing up, a guy had success like he does over 3, 4, 5 years. You keep them and you figure it out. We talked with them about extending Rob Thompson, and Dombrowski said, well, we just haven't gotten there yet.
You'll know it when we do it or something like that.
Do you think, my thought was, I think they're letting Rob Thompson decide. I think they're letting Rob Thompson, I could be totally wrong, look at what happens this offseason and then say, okay, or maybe not. What's your thoughts on extending him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of think Rob Thompson's having a good time. I really do. I mean, we're talking about somebody who nearly retired or was planning on retiring after 2022, and he got a chance to manage for the first time ever and did quite well, and then got extended and, has been in the playoffs now 4 years in a row. Like, I think he's having a grand old time. So I think if it's up to Rob Thompson, hell yeah, he wants to come back and continue on with this group and keep taking cracks at it. And I think that's something that we lose sight of, I think, again, locally, is that, well, they haven't gotten over the hump, and what do we need to do to change the mix to get this team to, well, the thing is, if you keep winning 90 games and 95 games and 96 games, you're going to keep getting cracks at it in the postseason, and eventually maybe you knock that door down. I remember talking to Kyle Schwarber at the All-Star game, and he said, I've been in the league 11 years, I've been in the playoffs 10 times, we've won it once. And every single time we went, we thought we had the team to beat. Whether it was with the Cubs or the Red Sox or the Phillies, we thought, we're the team this year. This is our year, and we've won it one time, which speaks to how hard it is to do it. And I think if you just keep giving yourself a bite at the apple, that's really all you can ask for.
Right.
We'll see. It's going to be a busy week here, and obviously we're still waiting to break news, and hopefully there is something that comes across here. And we joked it's probably going to happen during the Eagles game tonight, but we'll see. At least news is news.
That'd be a Philadelphia thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Scott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. Bob Cooney, Spencer McKercher here with you down in the winter meetings in Orlando. And right before we tossed to Dave's interview and the interview with Scott Lauber, we mentioned Preston Mattingly. Mm-hmm. And really, that's the other big news of the day. And it came right away. The very first question was, hey, have you guys figured out the bench coach situation? Thought it was funny. Thought it was interesting because all of a sudden they asked Preston Mattingly, who Don Mattingly is available, just spent last season with the Blue Jays as their bench coach. Mm-hmm. That's Preston's dad. And right now, it sounds like it's not a matter of if; it's really a matter of when Don Mattingly becomes the Phillies bench coach.
Yeah, I kind of read it as Don Mattingly's a legend. Been in the game forever. Hasn't won that World Series ring, and there would be nothing better than him come here and who doesn't want Don Mattingly on their bench? I think it's probably up to Mattingly. I think they said, look, the job's yours. Just let us know when. There's a Hall of Fame thing that came and went that he could have been up for. Maybe some different things going on in his life. But I think the Phillies are giving him his due respect and just saying, it's yours. When you want it, let us know. We can wait up until such and such. And I really do think that's what it is.
I do too. And I think right after Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson's comments after the end of the season press conference, they did say, or there was a report that came out that they're looking for a former major league manager. So there's a bunch of names out there. Brandon Hyde was a name. The former Orioles manager was out there. But I think adding Don Mattingly, a guy that has a winning pedigree, doesn't have that World Series ring, as you mentioned, should be a Hall of Famer. I think that guy coming in here would be fantastic. And Rob said the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they probably have history with the Yankees together.
Bingo.
Why not? I mean, just a great guy. And that's an interesting thing. Father and son, son being the GM. Imagine him watching his dad, the bench coach, get his first world championship. Like, there would be nothing better. If he wasn't qualified, you'd be like, sappy story. He's qualified.
Bingo.
He's more than qualified. And he may be able to help this team an awful lot.
And they alluded it. I think Dave mentioned the funny comment of, it might be the first time ever where a GM and a bench coach get lunch the amount of times that those two would get lunch during the season. But a really cool story if they do end up hiring Don Mattingly. And like I said, I think it is a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
So just some other news in Phillies world there. But other than that, we sit here on a Monday at 8 o'clock, right before the Eagles get ready to face the Chargers on Monday Night Football. We got to get ready to go to that because it's been a long day. It's time to watch some football. Is there anything else that you really caught your eye today?
Just a quick thing. Rob Thompson, we asked about his extension because that had been talked about. And Dave Dombrowski was like, well, we'll get to it. We haven't really talked about it. I really do think that's a Rob Thompson thing. I think Thompson's been like, well, great. I do want to come back. I do, as you said, and he said to us, this is the most fun he's had in baseball these last 4 years. I think he's kind of looking to see how this roster shakes out before he commits to doing something. I don't think it's on Dombrowski. I do think it's on Rob Thompson. So we'll see how that also plays out.
I'm with you because he is. Scott Lauber alluded to it as well. He's having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's hard not to have a lot of fun when you're winning 96 games.
And the players all like him. They respect him.
They love him and they definitely respect him. And I know there's been a lot of comments from Phillies fans about maybe Rob's not that guy. In my heart of hearts, Rob Thompson is that guy. He deserves to win a World Series championship with this team. And I really do think he is the guy to do it. So it was funny. We saw Joe Girardi today. At least I did. Saw him walking around. Yeah, it was good to see Joe, former Phillies manager, former Yankees manager. He was walking around with Dave Roberts, which I thought was interesting. Would love to be a final wall with that conversation.
Right? Exactly.
But that's it for day 2 of the winter meetings here in Orlando. Bob Cooney, Spencer McKercher, we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hopefully there's some sort of news to break. We will talk with Dave Dombrowski, Rob Thompson, and Pressing Mattingly again tomorrow. And keep an eye out for a one-on-one with Rob Thompson tomorrow as well. So thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. I was going to say, we always say we're landing the plane.
We'll throw you guys, we'll hit you guys, we'll bunt you guys. We'll do whatever you need.
Anything that's baseball related right now. We just need some sort of news.
We'll steal.
Thanks for listening.